Thank you so much for a housewarming party. I just realized I haven't been to a housewarming party for quite a while, and I don't think I've ever been in a housewarming party with that vista behind the window. I'll have a challenge for the World Shipping Council and for the European shipping community at large, or maritime community at large, but I'll come back to it at the end. When discussing before with Damien, what can I say in something like 8 minutes that will not spoil the fun for all the panels that you will be having later today and listening to later today. Indeed, I thought maybe a quick reminder where we are in terms of what's happening legislation-wise at the European level. Indeed, let's start with tomorrow, Transport Council meeting in Luxembourg to agree what is nicely called general approach on fuel EU maritime. And no, I actually don't know why it's called general approach, and whether we also could have a partial approach, which I think is worse than general approach. That goes my adjectives. General approach basically means that member states reached an agreement on a version of a text that is close to the European text with some tweaks and changes. I will not spoil the fun for you to find out what's there, but don't forget that, as is the custom recently, council meetings are normally broadcast. You can connect and you can follow the discussion. You can actually listen to ministers speak on, I think, all of the points in the agenda tomorrow. At least that's my understanding. So if you have a couple of hours in the afternoon, because that's when Fuel EU will be presented, and you want to hear ministers read out their statements or make their statements, that's actually the occasion. But what I find extremely satisfactory is that the Council managed to reach an agreement on a proposal which, when we put it on the table a year ago, 14th of July 2021, it was received with, what's the word? Petra, what's the...
Innovation.
Yeah, yes, with appraisal for the innovative spirit of the Commission that came up with a proposal for the first time saying if shipping is to decarbonize, it has to change the energy that it's using. And we will tell ships calling at EU port that they have to go down on the energy content of the fuels. Frankly speaking, something like that has not been there on paper, and actually it was also quite innovative when it comes to global discussions. I know you will be talking today also about EU, IMO dimension, what's first, what's second, how they should work together. But actually the fact that we took this political decision at the Commission level, that we go ahead with this proposal to fulfill the shipping obligation falling under the Fit for 55 target, the carbon neutrality target for the continent in 2050, allowed for something to be developed that I very much hope will also become pretty soon confirmed as a global solution for decarbonization of fuels for shipping. Because whatever we do at the EU, and we like to be first, we are the EU, no? That's normal. We like to come forward quickly, and we like to develop solutions, but we know that for shipping, what we need those solutions taken up at the global level. And I very much hope that we can count on the shipping World Shipping Council, shipping community outside World Shipping Council. There is some as well, just so that everybody remembers, that we can count on the shipping community to work with us also at the international level, because only then we'll be able to combine that very high political ambition which is there at the EU level. And let's not forget that the reason why climate has become so important in this current Commission is also that it was the clear demand stemming from the European Parliament in 2019 elections, confirmed by the President of the Commission and confirmed by many politicians since, also in national elections. In case you're not convinced, look at the results. I mean, parties speaking loud and clearly about climate are parties that also are doing well at national elections and at regional elections in the EU. And this is the political mandate that we have. We don't invent things in the Commission just because we want them. We do things that we get a political mandate to do. Hence, Fuel EU will have the agreement tomorrow. European Parliament is now looking at amendments to a draft report prepared in the Transport Committee, vote in the committee in July. We'll see where the report lands. It will be a very interesting discussion in the Parliament, because Parliament is traditionally quite ambitious on climate and environmental topics. In here, we are seeing, we are actually quite happy with the report as presented by the rapporteur for the Tran committee, but we also know that there are very strong voices from other political parties in the parliament to go in different directions. We'll have the vote in July. We should have plenary vote in the parliament in September, and if everything goes well, this is when the fun starts, because then we enter the beautiful time of trilogue, which, as you all know, and apologies for stating the obvious, is the time when council sits on this side of the table, parliament sits on this side of the table, they talk, and every now and then they say, Commission, do you agree? And we are there as the ones who should be explaining to both parties whether the things they are proposing can work, whether they still fit the political objective. And I would just like to focus on this can work, because this is a very important part for any piece of legislation that we do. It's not only about having a nice piece of paper, it's about having something that then can be implemented and enforced. And the enforceability, if I may say so, of any piece of legislation, especially when it comes to environmental legislation, is absolutely crucial. Because only if you have a piece of legislation that is enforceable, we can hope for a level playing field. We can hope that nobody can get out of that legislation and have unfair advantage by not obeying that legislation, because this is how the EU legislation works, and this is why we do a European level of legislation on top or in addition or in parallel to what's happening at the International Maritime Organization. But what I am happy when it comes to Fuel EU is that there is quite a solid political commitment among member states, and I think quite a solid political commitment when it comes to the European Parliament. Damien also asked me that I say a few words about the ETS, and I was hoping I will be able to tell you a bit more about the discussion on emission trading scheme and its extension to shipping, but actually I can't, because I have to say the discussions in the Council are not yet as crystallized as they have been for Fuel EU, so I will feel uncomfortable telling you that some member states want this and some member states want that, because I actually don't know. Maybe at the next working party they will want something else. Environmental Council will only discuss ETS at the end of the month. Normally they should have their general approach at the end of the month, and also in autumn there will be the trilogue process for ETS happening in parallel. When the two proposals were prepared, we were very careful and attentive with colleagues in DG Klima that all the key elements of both proposals are drafted with the same language. Because what we didn't want to have is that we have two key pieces of legislation applying to shipping industry where some issues are, you know, here is this definition and here is this definition. Scope of application, for example, and many other elements that you will know by heart, and so I'm not going to go into that. But we've succeeded at the Commission level, and I think we will end up there also at the Council level. That's why, you know, the two different sets of ministries and member states are talking. And once we have the two pieces of legislation in place, we will have what we wanted to have on the onset, an instrument that will push for increased energy efficiency, reducing the amount of carbon in shipping by putting a price on carbon through ETS, and an instrument pushing for cleaner energy used in shipping by forcing the use of alternative fuels through Fuel EU. Two instruments that will kick in with different speed. ETS faster, because energy efficiency is easier to achieve. That there are instruments or measures you can put in place to reduce the amount of energy used, and you don't need a huge revolution when it comes to shipping. And then Fuel EU that will start low, with current target being 2% for 2025. This is really a very low target, but this is to start building the ecosystem where gradually ships will be switching for cleaner fuels, zero-emission fuels, where port infrastructure will catch up, because we also have a piece of legislation for alternative fuels. Infrastructure regulation. I know I'm running out of time. But we know that for this change, when it comes to fuels, we need many elements to fit in place. But at the same time, we start with 2%, but the current target is 75% greenhouse gas intensity reduction in 2050. Don't be deceived. There are member states and there are members of the European Parliament who will be asking for 100%. What will be the end result of the discussion between the Council and the Parliament? I will not even try to second guess it, but it also clearly shows that what a year ago was an ambitious target, 75%, is now for many not ambitious enough. And I think for me this is the most optimistic element of the whole discussion about climate change and decarbonization, that the pace of the mood of the discussion and the pace of changes happening are picking up a lot. When IMO strategy was agreed in 2018, we all thought, wow, huge achievement, very ambitious. Today, -50 by 2050, absolutely not ambitious enough for anybody. So that's where I find my optimism that things can change and will change, and I will very much count on Welsh Shipping Council to support that level of ambition and the fast-paced change, and not only support us here in the discussions in the EU, but also support us in the discussions globally on all the important elements that have to be put in place when it comes to decarbonization of shipping. So that was my 5 minutes too long introductory words on the main topic of today. But I promised you that I have a challenge. I really like it. I think perfect view. But I was listening to a podcast over the weekend about maritime. You know, that's what you do. You know, you have free time and you listen to podcasts about maritime. And somebody there used a phrase which apparently is a well-known, but I heard it for the first time, which is the one, so that I get it rightly: no shipping, no shopping. Can I challenge you that next year there will be a banner on Berlaymont that will say no shipping, no shopping, to recognize the importance of maritime sector for absolutely everything that happens in Schuman Square, in any of the buildings around Schuman Square, and in any building across the EU. And I leave you with this challenge. And congratulations on fantastic office. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, Magda, thank you.